All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, welcome back to the 24 Down podcast. I made a little mistake on the episode the other day for Matt Wolf. I was calling it episode 19. It was actually episode 20. And so, with that, we are now here, episode 21. And we've got a really good guest here today, John Simmons. I want to bring John on right now. John, how's it
Oh
going, man?
man, what's going on, brother?
Not too much, man. Um, so there's a lot to get into today, and
Mm.
a lot of people had questions for you and everything like that. Um, I know we're gonna kind of run this the same way we always do, and give you a chance to take a few minutes or however long you want to give us a little overview of what your life has been since 24 down. But before any of that, I want to say something to you.
All right.
Off air, we were talking a little bit, and and you said, I don't remember your exact words, but you said something along the lines of how you were like one of the youngest guys on 24 down,
Yeah.
and you looked up to us and everything like that. And I almost told you then, and I was like, you know what, no, I'm going to save this for the podcast. So um what I want to say to that is, man, it didn't I don't think anybody realized your age difference or anything like that. Like, you came in and you fit right in with everybody. I don't think I don't think anybody like looked at you as like, oh, here's this younger guy who's just like, oh,
Yeah.
here's another one of us. So I wanted to tell you that because I think it struck me when you said that, like, that you were the younger guy and you always looked up to us. I mean, in many ways, a lot of us looked up to you for things too. So
Well, yeah, I was gonna get. Now we got into it, but it's funny because it's like in had like so. I guess I'll hop it. We're gonna be a little choppy because I guess when we talk, it's like now my mind is like all over the place. But like you saying that, it's funny that you were one of the first guys to come and talk to me and kind of we had so our our first like big thing. I'm telling you, we were probably there for maybe about a week, maybe, and that's when the icy hot challenge came around, and I was like, you know, that was something I never thought I would be like, oh yeah, let's do it. But like I remember it vividly, because I think was it Mike that was my roommate? Yeah, was it? No, not Mikey, but Mike, the soccer player. I can't remember.
I don't know. I can't remember either.
But he was a soccer player. Him and was it Frizzle? They were good friends.
Okay.
But I don't remember who was it. Mike? I don't know. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember now either.
Dang it! But I remember he was out doing something. It was just me. And again, it was like my first week of college. And I remember laying in the top bunk, and you just kind of came in. It's like, yo, we're about to go do this thing. And I was like, well, what are we about to go do? It's like, we're about to go do something. And I was like, all right. I mean, I'm not really. I was like, I'm still like shy. I'm a trained extrovert. I was always like growing up. I was like introvert for a long time, and like during high school, I kind of had to train myself to be kind of a little bit more out there. So when you were like, I was like, all right, I'm in college. This is my first week in college. I was like, let's go see what's happening. Lo and behold, maybe maybe 20 minutes later, I got icy hot on my balls for like like I was like, what the heck am I doing? And but you were like, I mean, there was a ton of, but you were the first one to say, come on, let's go do this. And then I kind of sparked the so, and then literally that's probably the best thing that could have happened because that sparked this such a like a feeling of like acceptance and like that was really for me where the brotherhood started. And like again, that was like the first weekend. So I mean, I as I was going through this day, I was in my head, I was just going through like at least one person. I can tell you like one thing from Neil to Buddha to you to Kim. Like I was picking every little, like not every little, but thinking at least about one great memory that I had. And there's one for everybody, and it's so crazy because I was there as a freshman and only stayed for one full year, but within that year, 15 years now, I'm on this podcast and like talking about reunions and missing and get to see everyone with kids and married. So this is like it's such a we really were brothers. Like that's something that I will always remember, and it's crazy.
Well, so it's like you talk about only being there like one full year. Like that's another like crazy thing to me is that like just like without like putting too much thought into it, like and I'm sure everybody else would feel the same way. Like it felt like you were there the whole time because
Yeah.
like of how close you were with us. Um, that whole it's funny that icy hat thing. So what year did you come? 2007? Is that what it was?
I came, yeah, 2007, 2008, but I was there. And it's funny though, again, this goes back to me being so young. I turned, I graduated high school at 17. So I was a newly formed 18-year-old. So I might as well still have been like a kid. Um, but yeah, it was 07, 08.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, we'll kind of let you take over here and catch everybody up on on what your life has, what's been going on in your life since leaving Valley Forge in 24 down. So go ahead and take it away.
Cool, brother. Dang. It's funny, a lot has happened. So I guess I'll just start with me. Oh, excuse me. Leaving that summer. So I remember. So basically, what happened with my with Valley Forge was I was on a scholarship, and again, me being young and not really really understanding what being on a scholarship really meant. So I basically I was like a couple like GPA points off of like keeping my scholarship, and so um, which sucks because now that I think back on it, I'm like, dang, I should have just I wasn't really aware, really aware of like I'm thinking I can just go back the next year and kind of and I come back and figure out that I'm not getting all the money that I needed to stay on campus and everything. So that was really tough. I really had to really kind of grow up and like really just kind of take that one and say, all right, I messed up, and so I end up doing is going to a community college and studying like just business and kind of just getting gen ed class out there, which like I tell all my kids now, the youth that I'm with at the church, I think doing gen ed classes and getting them cheaper and cheap like is the best way to go, and then transfer into your um, to wherever school you want to. But I that was one thing that kind of kept me from being out of debt. Uh, so I do community college, it's cool, whatever, and then I end up uh, I'm missing a lot of stuff, but I end up getting this job working at a retirement home, and you know, and on top of doing that, that was just doing that job. I continued to stay in ministry, so like even when I was at Valley Forge, when I those first couple of months, I was coming back home to do kids and youth ministry. But like kids ministry was my heart, so it's always something that I was um, in like the forefront of my mind. So that was where I came to Valley Forge for. Was for kids ministry, but it was also for sound and digital media before there wasn't even the major was there. Um, so I was I still am super big with the kids and the youth. And it's funny, I started doing kids ministry when I was 15, and kind of I'm still doing kids ministry now. I'm still doing youth ministry. So and it's funny because when I hear about like all the tribulations like everyone else had to go through, like coming out of the forge and had to do their like figure out what am I really doing in ministry and figure out what's going on like job wise and stuff like that. It's always for me it was I got really blessed because even when I kind of came out of Forge and I still was doing crazy amount of kids ministry and a crazy amount of like youth ministry. So and now that's I'm preparing to kind of get back to my school and become like a licensed pastor, which is like a whole nother story that we probably will get into down. But I it's been a journey trying to get licensed, and but so I do the um where am I do the I've been doing the dang it, what is it? retirement home. Sorry,
No, you're good.
retirement home, and I got to minister to like a generation that maybe some people never get an opportunity to, because I got to meet a woman that was like in Germany when the Nazis was like during the war, like straight up. It was and like the oldest resident that I got a chance to really talk to, and she was like 103. So, and it's funny because on top of, so I got the full spectrum of like life, like the circle of life, when I was dealing with like the kids, doing kids ministry, um, and the youth. But then when I would go to work, my staff was like the like 17 to 18 area, 20s, and then I got to deal with the elderly, and I did that for 11 years. I just recently, just within the last year, moved to another job, and it's at a school in PA. It's called Elwyn School, and I supervise well, the school's closed down right because of COVID, but it works with kids with special needs, like physical, mental, and behavioral. So I get the whole spectrum with that, and it kind of just helps me kind of get that next step, and figure out that kind of uh I guess I want to say their kind of issues, but like the way that they learn and the way that they kind of live with like those special needs. So I've always been a people person, and I think that's what really helped me to kind of be even at a young age, to be a part of like a group like 24, to be a part of a family like 24, where it's so many different walks of life, and I'll get into that as after this kind of short brief stuff. But so and it's crazy. So I was there for like 11 years, but when I came out, I was, I think, around like, it's funny because I was going through, I wouldn't say depression, but I was going through like feeling like no one wanted me, because I was single for like literally like 26 years, not 26 years, but since since Valley Forge all the way to like I was 26, right? So that's almost like 10, 11 years. And I'm like, God, what is going on? I'm a good looking guy. I got some kind of money. I'm not dead broke. I look okay. I may still live in my mama's house, but it's okay. But and so, but I always told God, I'm literally on waiting for marriage kind of thing. I'm really gonna wait for that girl, because there was always girls around, but I was like, you know, weighing it out, and it's me kind of honoring God with like just everything. So I was like, I was about to be like, you know what? Let me just go on and do what I want to do. And then it's funny, I was transferring, well, not transferring, I was going to a new church, and I was about to be out of the district, and the AG will kind of come up a lot in my journey. Well, AG is still a very prominent thing in my life. You know, well, I'll get into that too as well. But so I was about to be out of the district. I was about to be completely away from whatever normal I was gonna do, and go into this mega church. And lo and behold, one of my pastors, again, she's she's more than just a pastor. She's like a spiritual mother. And she called me up. She was like, "Hey, I got a spot in youth ministry. I could really use you. I need you," kind of thing. And I was like, I'm not trying to be in the AG anymore. I was looking. This is a part where I was just kind of just looking to step out. She was like, all right, come on for spaghetti, whatever. Then like another like month or two, she was like, hey, like I still got the spot. I'm gonna need. I was like, I'm at this point, I'm doing like the tour of my section. Just like 4 or 5 churches and like a couple of non-denominational churches. And I was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, all right. And then like one more month came around, right? And I was like, I just felt God like, take it. So all right, call up and said, okay, I'll do it. I'll come. So I got on board, started with the teens, and no more than like a month where we had to take the teens up to a youth convention, not a youth convention, it was a youth retreat. And there's this girl that I was talking to like once every year when I would go up there for like the kids camp. And lo and behold, she's on the register, like taking money from youth, and not seem like she's having like a great time because youth kids can be a pain in the butt. We all know that. I'm talking to a lot of pastors and a lot of youth leaders right now. They can just be a pain. So I've known her for like, at that point was like maybe like 6 years, but only really seen her like once or twice a year. So I walk over there, and I always thought she was a good looking young lady. So I go and I talk to her, and end up, long story short, she becomes my wife, and it's again, I'll get into that too as well. But yeah, and I had to wait. Like there were some times where I was really like struggling to be like, God, I'm ready for this, and and it took, I guess, a lot of my maturity as I look back, and like I needed to mature a lot. Um, so yeah, so then we got married, and now being a husband, it is great. It is great, but I definitely had to commit to working at it for sure. I had to commit to just being someone that's not single anymore, and really kind of killing the old man, and stepping up to that role as being a husband, because they like, you're told what a husband should do, but you never told how you really should be a husband. You told that you're supposed to provide this, that, and the third, but they never really tell you in moments where it's like you got to make a decision. You can't look back on it, and if goes wrong, you got to go from it's wrong to just step up and adjust. And so, and then just, and again, our relationship was long distance, so I had to drive 2 hours every time to see her for like almost a full, almost, yeah, it was about a year. It was about a year, and I said, God, I'm never doing long distance relationship. And God works in funny ways for sure, where I swore off long distance relationships, and come now to me marrying a girl that was 2 hours away and had to drive back and forth. And when we got engaged, that through the 8 months, I drove back and forth for 8 months straight. Every other week I was down there, and I had a great car. The car's still with me. That's my Trudy. But I put some miles on that car like no one's business, bro. It's like two. It was like it's like 2 hours down, 2 hours back. Yeah. So now being a husband has been awesome, and all right, this is just a little nugget. I mean, you guys have all I posted it um, on the family chat. I call it the family chat, that we're expecting, but we haven't posted it like Facebook's and like all that. So you know, I keep that one for the family. So if you guys listening, we're gonna keep that to ourselves for a little bit until she gets a little bit more bigger and starts to show a little bit more. But she's 12 weeks now. So, and now that's a whole nother, like, it's crazy. Like I don't even really like so we got like the first sonogram, and we're looking at that right now, and it's cool because it's like a little shrimp, or like she said, it's like as big as a mustache. But like jumping into fatherhood is like, it still hasn't really hit me. Like usually, like working with kids and teenagers, I play with kids, feed them, get it, and then you give them back. Like for my like half of my life, love on your kid, everything like that, do whatever, and then I give them back to you. Now it's like, oh, I gotta take this bad boy home. Like this is mine. So, but yeah, so now that next step into being a dad is like, it's exciting. It's a little nerve wracking. Um, it's definitely going to be a whole nother new chapter. But it's cool. I got a lot of great family and a lot of great friends around to support, and I got great role models, and so it's set up to be really good. And I'm just like, I still can't believe I'm about to be like a dad. I mean, darn near 31, but it's like sometimes I still feel like I'm 18 putting icy hot on my balls. So, but so yeah, so that's where we're kind of at, like in a nutshell. That's kind of where. Oh, and I mean, yeah. Well, I guess I'll get into that as we kind of just go through some of the stuff. and some of the questions that I saw on the family feed.
So, I want to say, first and foremost, on behalf of the 24 Down family, like, congrats. I know, like, a lot of us said congrats.
Yeah, brother.
But man, that's that's awesome. That's super exciting. I know, like, I remember, like, when you sent the picture, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm staring at this picture and I'm like,
like
wait, like,
mad
what's the,
random.
I was like, what's the joke that I'm missing? Like, and then I was like, wait, hold on. Are you saying, like, what I think you're saying, And then,
It's
like,
completely off topic. Yeah, I
yeah.
just threw it up there.
So I'm thinking it's some, like, meme or something. And I'm like, what do I not get with this thing? Like, but then, like, when like you shared it and we all realized, okay, like, this is legit. Like, I just remember, like, the outpouring.
Yeah,
And
man.
and dude, like, I don't have to, like, speak for everybody on this. Like, I speak for myself, but I guarantee you everybody else thinks the same thing. You're gonna make a absolutely awesome dad.
Yeah,
Like, that's just part of your personality. And so it's super, super exciting. Couldn't be more happy for you, man.
yeah. I'm telling you, I'm telling, it's weird. It's so weird that we went from talking about doing a Zoom call, doing the Zoom call, then doing over text, then doing like we picked off like we never left. And it's so funny that I mean, I was reading what Colleen said. We like the picture of us all laying. It looked super homosexual, but we were that was just a normal kind of get together for us, and this really does speak to how what our bond is. It's crazy. It's crazy. I've never had a bond with a group of people that I've really only knew for a year, like face to face for a year, that it goes till I'm 31 when I was 18 years old, freshly 18. Like, it's crazy.
Well, so something that's, like, really telling to me also, and this is maybe, like, I don't know if this is the case for everybody. This is the case for me though. One thing that I, like, noticed, like, kind of opened my eyes was my wedding.
Hmm.
And at my wedding, prior, like, friends that I had prior to Valley Forge. So, and I went to Valley Forge late. I think I was 22 maybe when I
Hmm.
when I went there. So, friends from when I was born to 22, that I that I had at that wedding were
Yeah.
very small in comparison to friends from the Valley Forge
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah. No.
And like, when you look at that, like, that Valley Forge circle, like, that was, for me, it was 3.5 years of my life. And the bonds and the friendships that we made in that short amount of time, whether it was for you a year or 3 years or 4 years or five or whatever it was,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, that's such a short amount of time, but we are just as close as if we are blood family. Like, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. So, um, yeah, I thought that really, on my wedding day, I think that hit me more than anything else. I was like, and the thing that killed me is, like, there were so many more 24 Down people that I wanted to
To be
invite,
there.
and we were so limited on space. But, like,
Yeah.
literally, there's so many more people I wanted to invite. But I remember just sitting there thinking, like, wow, like, I've got, all these people that came to be a part of this day from out of state that
Hmm.
drove multiple hours, because I'm not in Pennsylvania anymore. I'm back home in Michigan,
Yeah.
and didn't think twice about it. And the people that weren't there, because we weren't able to have as many people as, I would have loved to have, like, I know they would have done the same thing. And it's the same for anything. Like, if something were to happen big in our lives, and we had that call of, like, hey, like, come, whatever, for
Yeah.
most of us, barring, like, some extreme exceptions, like, we're gonna do that. And it just shows, like you said, like, just the closeness, the bond that this family really has. And it blows my mind every day
It,
still.
bro, it blows my mind because I think, and it's funny that you brought up weddings because when we had ours, it's funny when you really have to like like, because like that's one of the worst. It's like one of the worst feelings. I have to nix people because they're like not like blood family.
Yeah.
So and like some of the blood family, you know, like I'm trying to choose my words. So I wish I could add more people to it, and
For
it's
sure.
funny. It's funny because it's like uh, I remember going looking at our invite list. I'm like, I could have added like another 120, like when you look at it, like I could have added a whole another 200 people, and we had a fairly big wedding. We had like most of our invites actually showed up. So I'm like, oh shoot, we got to pay for how much? But it's like it's it is one of those things that I wish I could have had way more people and and not have had it been limited money. But I guess but if I would have had as much money as I wanted to, there would have been a lot of 24 down folks there for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, like thinking, if this would never happen, but like theoretically, if my wife was like, "Hey, I don't, I'm not going to invite anybody on my side of the family or anything," like
Mm.
literally, like it's all going to be everybody you want to invite. Like I literally would have started with the 24 down family and like thought of every single person that was
Mhm.
there during the time I was there, and I would have been like, "Yep, yep, yeah,"
Yep, yep. Keep it going.
But it's just, yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome. I've said it quite a few times lately. Like I love this family. I really do. And it's so awesome to just be uh in contact a lot more again.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
just,
love.
dude, like, cause okay, so I think about this too. Had all this not started, um, I'm sure eventually I would have found out that, you guys are having a kid, but maybe I wouldn't have found out until a year or two after your
Yeah.
child was born. And now it's like I get to like sit there and I get to enjoy the journey with you. And like we all have like, so it's like anything that's going on in our lives, we're all there to support. We're all there to like be a part of again. And man, I can't thank everybody enough for being a part of it.
Which it's so telling because I remember when you posted like on the and it's funny how the resurgence of the page kind of like it's funny we didn't have like any kind of like anything on the Facebook page, and then you just came on one day, let's do a Zoom call, and then it just took off. And I remember being so mad when I thought I missed the Zoom call, and it was like I think it was like you guys were already on for like an hour and a half, and I was scrolling and I was like, oh shoot, we're they're doing a Zoom call, and I was like, let me see, let me text Hat, let me and then again I got it's weird. It was not weird, but I got so FOMO not able to talk with everybody and like to see everyone. And then when I hopped on and saw everyone's face, I was like, oh shoot, man, this is like home. This is like a big old reunion. And I've been trying to uh kind of see a lot of the silver lining with COVID and everything. And a lot of people are dying, a lot of things are happening with it, and we're not allowed to. We're not anymore, but it was at that time we weren't able to really see everybody. But first off, with COVID, trying to take trying to at least take some positives from, but able to spend as much time as I could with my wife. Like during that time, we went over during the Zoom call that I was laid off for like furloughed, excuse me, for like a month, right? But that was like I got to spend so much time, and God took care of us, kept the bills paid, and but we spent literally every day together. Like that would never happen without that kind of like for a full month. And now we spend a lot. Like it's different now. It's so much different between me and her. And then we would never really have gotten to. I don't think we would got to reconnect the way we did because after that Zoom call, you guys were like a priority again. Not saying that you guys weren't, but you guys were like a priority where I gotta stay in touch with everyone. And it's funny though, I stay more in touch with you guys right now than a lot of other people that I spend more time with in the past. And it's just it really is, man, it's a God thing, bro. It's wherever we're at in our spiritual walks, from what I've been listening to from the podcast, everyone's spiritually doing good. I mean, from what I've been hearing, everyone's spiritually good. Theologies and stuff like that are always going to be different, but God has taken care of this family, and I believe that for sure. Wherever we're at, it doesn't really matter where we're at. God took care of us, and God has got us where we are, like firing on all cylinders. Like I look at that message, and I'll. It's funny. I'll be doing something at work, and I'll feel my phone vibrate once, but then I'll look at it. It's like 25 messages just popped off, and I'm like, man, weird. And you know what's super funny too? I don't know if some of you guys got like early, like Rizzo, he's up early, and I'm up. I get up like my alarm goes off at like 5, and I kind of chill in bed for like a half hour, but like I'm driving at 7 o'clock, and I'll feel Rizzo vibrate in my pocket. Like Rizzo's up this, like he must have like an early job as well. But that message thing, the message board goes off super early, so it's like
There's days that it'll just go off all day long. Like
yeah,
it'll, and I love it. Like it's
yeah.
it's just awesome. Well, let's hop into some of these questions here.
All right, let's
And
do it.
I think some of these questions will bring up some stories you want to talk about, and if
Yeah.
not, anything we don't talk about during the questions at the end, feel free. We'll have a chance to get into anything else you want to talk about. So, first set of questions here comes from Wolfie,
Okay.
and his first question is, who was the first person you met when you came to 24 Down, and what was that interaction like?
All right. Let me see. The first person, I think it might have been Kindler because he was a he was an ARA at that time, so I was moving in. Um, but it's funny. I'm so it's funny because he might have been the first person, but like everyone like talked to me while I was going to set up, and I remember you asking to help me with my bags, and like it was Josh Lee. He asked me to help. I think, and at the time, who was the RA at that time? I
Andrew
remember.
Andrew wasn't the RA then.
No, no, no. I'm sorry. He was the RA, but who was it? I
He was the
remember
ARA.
there was two ARAs. I remember Josh Lee being one of them,
Okay,
and then I know it switched.
I
No,
can't remember.
no, shoot.
I don't know.
I just remember I remember Josh Lee and Andrew being RA. That's the only one. Like I don't know which one was the ARA. I just remember them being the two.
Right.
But so yes, but it's funny. It was yeah. But the first real that I can really remember, the first react like interaction, I'm sorry, was with you. Like that was the first memorable one. Again, that was again within the first week that I was kind of there. And then oh man, what was his name? I bet Frizzo would know.
Your roommate at the time.
Yeah. I can't.
So I'm gonna um it was there okay. Murph
He was a
asked a,
soccer player. That's all I know. That's what I remember.
Murph asked a question which we'll get into later about your roommate, and he said he called him Bob, and he said
Yeah,
he wasn't sure if that was his name.
no, it wasn't Bob.
Okay.
But it's I think I know who he's alluding to. He might have been. I don't know if he was alluding to Neil or Dan Han.
Oh, okay.
I got a story about Murph because it was funny because Murph came in second semester, but since we were the two young guys, like Sam Lee was one of the other freshmen. There was Joel, and not Jolie, not Jolie, but
Joel Dortch, maybe.
yeah, what?
Yeah. Real
He
tall.
was tall kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was the other freshman, and I think that was that was the only freshman I believe. I'm not sure. But yeah, so it wasn't Bob. that's for sure.
Well, maybe someone will remember.
Someone's got to remember.
All right. So Wolfie's second question here, he said, We had talk about 24. We had some strong personalities. Were you intimidated by anybody at first?
Intimidated. Again, I'm not gonna say intimidated. I definitely was uh definitely shy. There wasn't like, again, when I first got there, everyone was and I think that was one of the testaments to you guys as just, I guess I would say you guys are the OGs. But you guys definitely welcomed me with like open arms. Like there wasn't intimidated. Even hmm, I guess the one person I wouldn't even say intimidated would definitely, but I was like not really comfortable around. The first in the beginning was definitely Rick, because again he was bigger, but again within a week or so of knowing like who he was, like I was, I mean, it went pretty smooth after that. But Rick, definitely the bigger guy, definitely he would seem a little bit more intimidating. But that's because he wasn't on the floor like that. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
he wasn't on the floor like that, but he was definitely like around enough.
I
But
think like I brought it up. I don't remember if it was just the other day on Wolfie's or on Wolf's episode, or it was one of the episodes recently. I just brought it up too about Rick and kind of the same thing of like I love the guy to death, but at first like he's a very loud guy, very
mhm,
boisterous guy, and so like
yeah,
there does have a little bit of that intimidation factor, but like then you get to know him, and you're like, well, this is the most lovable guy ever,
yeah.
you know?
And I guess I'll start off with Rick. The first kind of real kind of time I spent where we talked about baseball and everything, and then I remember when I really got to know him. Just you guys used to talk about his laugh, and I never really heard his laugh. And then it's funny. The first time I really heard his laugh was in chapel, and the fact that everyone recognized his laugh was like, oh, this is a funny guy. That was my first kind of like kind of getting to know who Rick really was just by his laugh and and hearing everyone talk about how this guy's laugh was like Santa Claus and it's I mean it was true. It was true. But I remember him. I can hear him laughing outside and hearing it in the dorm.
Yeah.
Freaking crazy.
Yeah, Rick's his laugh is definitely iconic for sure.
That's for sure.
So Wolfie's next question here. This is a question he's been asking everybody. If you could have any Valley Forge building named after you, other than 24, what would you choose?
Hmm. Other than 24. Honestly, the most the most time I spent other than on the floor was in the back porch. Yeah. I remember waking up for for college football Saturdays and being the only one there. And until I find like a cool link where I could just watch like football games, I would go and no one would be up because either everyone went home, which is crazy because when I was there, that was the most kids that Valley Forge had. And our senior class was like 300 and something, which we were like one of the bigger classes. Like it was like 320 or something like that. It was a lot of freshmen coming in. And I remember everyone, and then the year before that, it was like the most they ever had. But a lot of those guys went home for either ministry stuff or like, so being on the back porch, it was almost every Saturday during football season that I would be there by myself watching the games. And I loved it because it was just me. Like some people would pop in, but the back porch, the food area wouldn't be open that early, so I would
Right.
have that. So I would probably say like the back porch.
It was the only, if I remember correctly, it was the only building on campus that had cable television. So
Yes.
so yeah, anytime there was a sports game that would have been on, like that was the place to be. I remember like I went there countless times to watch Red Wings games. That any time that there was a Red Wings game that was nationally televised, I was at the
Yeah.
back porch watching it. And
Which is, and it's dumb. I think about it now that we had to like sign out for the TV. That was like the dumbest thing. And Valley Forge might as well promoted us pirating like videos and movies because you put no cable. Of course, I'm gonna go to LimeWire and down like 16,000 movies and try to find like a streaming network.
right, right,
There's no cable. Like,
right.
so not one TV.
You would think, I mean, whatever, I'm not gonna get into this too much, but you would think with how much
I know
like
where you're going.
how much we paid for college, like I
Hmm.
think they could probably afford to put cable in the dorms. Like it's just a whatever.
No, I think, and it's funny because when Buongiorno, they had Buongiorno, and that was like, okay, this is like the step up. But like you guys, like they couldn't even give us like ace. Oh gosh, now this thing's starting to float in my head. I remember one time I came back and I brought my boy Jeffries. I think you guys remember Jeffries. That
Okay.
was I
Vaguely.
remember before ace. No, no, I was still there. I was still there. I remember laying out in the foyer and it was so hot. Like I mean so hot. I remember sweating on this couch. I'm like, why the freak can we not have ACs in our room? And just remember putting this box fan in the room and that was it. Like I can't bring an AC unit in this place. Like, is this for real? But humble beginnings, I guess.
Yeah. All right, let's see. The next set of questions here come from Colleen.
Mhm.
Um, her first one is, what was your favorite memory of 24 down and your worst memory of 24 down?
So I'll start with I start with the veggies. The worst memory. And it wasn't even like the worst memory is still kind of no, okay, so I guess the worst memory is it's really sappy, but us leaving, like leaving us like leaving each other for like the full year or the semester and not seeing people come back. And then realizing that I wasn't coming back and literally how crushed I was, knowing that I was gonna come back for that next year. That was I felt so bad. It took me a long time to kind of get over it. I don't want to say a long time. I mean, it took me like a couple weeks to a month, kind of just to, and then at every opportunity that I could, I would come back. So even when I didn't, and then it's funny that I would have dreams of like coming back, but like it was the weirdest thing, and I would come back, but it was like completely different, and like things were. But I remember the worst moments was like not coming, finding out that I wasn't able to come back, and that was really, and it was that sucked a lot for me to be completely honest. But the some of the best memories, it's there's quite a few. I'll say one is like when we did like the football or any of the sports, but the football for for definitely was the top because we had the girls and we had the guys and how we all practiced together when we had the girls with the powder puff and practicing with the girls and like kind of just build a relationship like that. And then I would say though the top one is definitely us going out for like either Sonic runs or like Wawa runs where we all I remember the one dang and this all happened so quick I can remember now it's starting to come back to me. I think it maybe had it been like again the first week. Dang, yeah, we got off hot and running. I think it was like the first week within being there. We Andrew and like you and I think Buddha and all the upperclassmen guys. I mean, you guys were like still like sophomore, I think sophomore juniors at the time, but all the upperclassmen when it comes to me said get in the car. We're all going to Sonic, and I remember packing the car with the girl, like the girls came as well, and just having like 25 of us all sitting in like the Sonic parking lot, just and that was the best. And then the campfire too. Anytime that we were really together, that was like some of the best times. But the Sonic run, the first one, definitely was definitely something that stood out to me big time.
I remember when it might have been right around that time. I can't remember exactly, but I remember when they put that Sonic in there because that was the
Mm.
first Sonic in the area, and no joke, for probably a good 2-3 months, like there was several Sonic runs because it was like, hey, there's a
Yeah.
Sonic here. Like
Oh yeah.
it doesn't matter that that's a 45-minute drive.
It
Like
was a
we're going.
45-minute drive,
Yeah,
bro. Like
yeah. That's funny. Um, oh, and so yes, that's good. So her next question here, is if you could go back for one day to be with 24 down, what's the one thing you would do?
to a Sonic run, man.
That's awesome.
Seriously, I would do it. We would all. I think at like the height. I want to. Yeah, it was at like the height of like this is probably like mid-semester, where we had a good 30 some odd people. Like when I look back at the picture of us, like our pictures that we would, our semester pictures that we would take in front of the campus, I mean, take in front of the building and like off of the building, it looked like a good 20 of us was in there, and we were missing people.
For sure.
So definitely, like, if all, I'm just gonna shoot out like 30 of us with the Sonic and shut that Sonic down and just tailgate it. That would be something I would do for sure.
That's awesome. All right, so here our next question is, what's the craziest, most dangerous thing you did with 24 down?
I rem- I remember craziest. I mean, what's the craziest? The crazy thing I remember going on the back roads, and like when you guys were all driving, like you guys all had like so that was like the first time I knew that people were like driving stick. Like literally every one of you guys drove stick. I don't think, and I remember being all packed up on numerous occasions. It was either a Wawa run, I mean not a Wawa run, but a Walmart run or a Sonic run, and y'all would fly through those back roads. And there's times where I'm like, yo, we're about to, like, there were narrow roads. Like I'm not like a crazy driver anymore. I used to be like borderline what we used to do, not, but I got to like a crazy car accident. So now I'm like super like in my dad, like super old man mode now. But I remember driving. You know what? There's one more thing that comes to mind, but it wasn't with 24. But I guess if it was with the twins in Audra and one of their friends when I went to. Dang, it's funny how you start talking and then all of a sudden like these things come. But I remember, well, I don't know. I think it was during the Christmas break or something like that. I went over and I spent like the weekend or almost maybe like 4 or 5 days there. I remember we were walking somewhere. Monkey was there too, but I remember climbing down this like sewer like tunnel thing. I'm like, this black kid from woman like driving. Well, I don't know if we drove, but we walked somewhere. It was mad dark, and it was like we're on a bridge. I remember, I don't know if it was Yugi that popped the manhole cover up or something, but it was super shady. It was super shady, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what we were doing there. And we have a picture of it. We're just like looking over this bridge, but I'm like, what the freak? And I was like really like scared. Like I was like, what are we doing here, guys? I couldn't tell them that. I was like, yo, let's go head on back up. Like it's a little dark down here. It's a lot of graffiti. So let's keep it moving. But that was probably one of them as well.
That's awesome. So Colleen's last question, and this is the question she asks everybody. She wants to know when the heck you're getting the 24 down tattoo.
Man, oh man. I didn't, if you would have asked me like maybe like 5, 6 years ago, it probably would have been on like the back of my arm or just right on my arm. But we'll see that. I'm not sure when. I don't know because my wife's got a couple. She's playing. She's got like two, and she's playing to get some more. But I don't know, man. I thought so. Let me tell you something. It's funny when I came back home and those like I think it was a good 2 years where I was really like missing everybody. I mean, I was coming back and forth randomly just to kind of visit till everyone kind of like graduated or like left. And I would sit at work and like figure out where I would in a marker, I would just figure out where my 24 would go. I was thinking about get it like on my hand where like my pointer finger, my thumb is right in that little wedge. That was like that's where I was gonna get it for like if you would have asked me then, that's probably where I would have got it. I don't know now where I would get it or when I'm gonna get it, but that's where I wanted to get it, and I would shade it in and do different designs and try to figure out how I wanted it. But I was gonna get it on my hand. That might have been I don't know if my parents would have screamed at me for getting a tattoo on my hand. Like you could have put it somewhere else. You got to put it on your hand, but. That's where I was gonna get it, Colleen. That's for sure. I was gonna get it, and it was gonna be on my hand.
Nice. All right. So this next set of questions here comes from Rizzo.
Okay.
His first question is, I see you posting stories of you watching movies all the time. What's your favorite comedy, drama, and action movie?
All right. So I'll do the action. It's funny, but it's not funny, but it's I feel like sometimes it's cheesy, but it's literally my favorite movie where I can watch like 100 times within a week and just watch it. When we first moved in to our apartment and we didn't have cable, I would literally watch that movie almost every day. And it's The Mummy. Like, geez, it's that Brendan Fraser, man. That so The Mummy is definitely my action comedy, man. It's I would man, that's a toughie because like they kind of interchange and comedy. So comedy is the hardest because I watch a lot of comedy movies, and then also horror movies is like my biggest wheelhouse. Like drama, I would kind of put drama in like a thriller kind of categories, but like it's it's up there. I honestly couldn't even really, and I looked at this question, but I can't really tell you my favorite comedy because I would say one and then go to bed and be like, oh shoot, that's the one I'm actually like. But I like it's the comedy. I guess it would be Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence was one of my. It's, but again, I say that now and I'll go back and be like, oh no, this is my favorite kind of movie. But then I guess drama or like I'm a big Oceans fan, so Oceans 12 is definitely I guess I put in the kind of drama. But again, I'm thinking about it now, and there's like another 20 different. So, but those would be the ones that definitely come to mind that stick out.
Nice. Um, so his next question is, what would be your dream sound gig? Could be
Oh,
could be a band or performer or anything.
so even now, like as I mean you probably know this and probably a lot of, but I do DJ and I started working on sound or quotations, as church could call them, like doing the sound when I was like 15. So now I do it for our church now. But like I would love to do. There's quite a few, but like it's called Abbey Hall in London, not London, but it's in the UK. And it's like a Carnegie Hall for like the UK. Um, so definitely that, and I definitely want to do this one day. It's on my bucket list to either attend or do a set at this place called Ultra in Miami. It's called the Ultra Music Festival, and it's all EDM kind of stuff. I hate to use the word EDM because when I grew up, it wasn't called EDM. It was just called. Shouts out to Tim. Um, but yeah, so that would be, and then there's a ton of different, but I love orchestras and stuff like that, and so like to do sound for that would be like anything with a lot of instruments and just a lot of moving parts. You can just build that bridge, uh, just sound wise. So, but definitely Abbey Hall, uh, a lot of places in the UK that I definitely want to one day I'll get there and kind of do the music scene. That's always definitely been a bucket list. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot of, and I also wanted to do like from movies to the sound when they like bring in a band or like an orchestra or like to do the sound. I mean, to do the music for that movie, and then I would mix and master that. That's something that I definitely would love to do. But yeah, Ultra, I'm gonna get there one year. I'm gonna get there one year.
Rizzo's last thing here, he says, this isn't a challenge, nor him asking you to do this, but, and this is in quotes, he says, you can't Wu-Tang better than me.
Oh man, it's it's funny that, and I'll tell you something. I had a lot of interactions with, I mean, the whole family, but like, it was you, Rizzo, Kindler. Um, that I don't know if I spend more time with you guys, but I feel like I spend more time with you guys because all the I mean, you guys again, you guys are the OGs, so a lot of our events, you guys were involved. Like it wasn't like we were gonna do something and neither you were gonna be like in the mix. So there's like some people like so like so like Sam Lee was a part, but he was doing like he did a lot. Like he did the icy hot right next to me, but it wasn't like he was in everything. Kind of, but you
Sure.
guys were like in every kind of thing that we did, like from airsoft guns to dodgeball, which some of my favorite moments, stepping out and peeking just so I don't take an airsoft pellet in the eye. But and that's what made me get like an airsoft gun was watch you guys pop off aerosols. And I was like, I gotta go get me a gun. I gotta go get me a gun. But yeah,
That's awesome.
so I kind of lost my train of thought on that last question. The Wu
Are
Tang,
you?
yeah, the Wu Tang, yeah. I haven't Wu Tang Rizzo in a long time, but if the spirit strikes me and I got the right song, I'll probably Wu Tang at the next reunion for sure,
Nice,
for sure.
nice. All right, these next set of questions here come from Buddha.
Okay,
Um, and you've kind of touched on a lot of this already. His first question, but if you want to go any more into it, you
yeah,
can. He wants to know where you're at with God and church these days.
yeah, awesome question. Yeah, I've it's kind of hasn't really slowed down with me when it comes to the ministry and the church as a body. And I've been hearing everyone's kind of like their own story with the church and it's literally the same thing that I had to see and go through. But my experiences was just different because of where my churches were and my leaders were and the kind of people that were I was under. Like when I was listening to Baldwin, like that I've heard that so often where get behind crappy leadership and they don't steal your right and or being hurt by the church just playing out like getting like dropped by the church like you weren't like even a part of it kind of thing. So I know the kind of spectrum everyone kind of deals with and for me I was definitely blessed to kind of only go up from where I was. So starting with just running sound and working with the kids to like now I'm an intricate part of my church without even quote unquote being on staff, but being just as part as the church I'm at right now, where they are paying for me to get credentialed. Um, is it's definitely been a blessing, and with those blessings, I definitely want to kind of use that, and to bless people where I've been blessed, and so yeah, with the church, it's I know the church they've come a long way, and they still have a lot of stuff to kind of figure out, as we all know, and it's tough because again, seeing still some like the old guard of especially of the AG. I will always say I'm an AG kid, and the AG is definitely taking care of me. I mean, God's taking care of me, but the placement in the AG has taken me definitely, to the next level. And not everyone's journey has been like mine. So I definitely have friends and family that have been on the kind of opposite side of how the church is run sometimes. But as a whole, you know, we have to figure out and it kind of and again when it comes to churches, it's definitely pick the right one. You gotta pick the right one. And some churches are not for other people. And like so my church could definitely not be for whoever it is right for me. At one point sometimes it was just at least at some points it's a lot tougher than others. But spiritually wise, I'm I've been really blessed, and God has definitely brought me through a lot of tough times, and a lot of times where I question myself, and a lot of times where I've self-destructed. Like a lot of times it's self-destruction that leads us into the situations where we're at, church or no church, or relationship or no relationship. A lot of times we self-destruct. So and and God has definitely brought me out of a lot of those kind of situations where I was not on the right mindset. So, but God has definitely always been faithful from through Corona to my marriage to definitely with this kid and with relationships that I've had. So spiritually, I'm good. I'm still working on some stuff. I'm still always improving, always trying to get better, always trying to get out of my own head. Um, but yeah, so I'm quote unquote on staff. I have a key and everything to the church, but that really doesn't make me being on staff. It's me like doing what I need to do to help keep this church going and running. And got a great pastor. I've been under great leadership since I was 15. I've had the same, and I've also had longevity. So I've been my children's pastor that I was 15 with is now my executive associate pastor that I'm under now. Um, but yeah, I spiritually I'm good, and spiritually it's definitely been a journey, but it's definitely been all God. So I definitely have been blessed to say the least.
Right. So his next thing is he says he chooses you for the 24 down double salt challenge in person and on the podcast.
Double salt. Double salt.
Have you seen the salt challenge in the chat?
No, I missed
Well,
that.
then you're just be thankful you're off the hook on this one. Look,
It's crazy because I see I get the post, but like once you get to a certain part, you just you lose.
oh yeah, if you're, I mean, if you're away from that chat for a day, you're like
you're lost a lot.
yeah, for sure. We'll explain the salt challenge to you another time.
Okay.
All right, so
that sounds crazy.
his next question is he wants to know the coolest guy, and then he also wants to know the weirdest guy on 24 down.
Oh, all right. I'll start with the veggies. There was this one weird. Yeah. He was weird. But he wasn't there long. He moved out. He moved within maybe a couple months, and man. You guys are probably not gonna remember, but I can remember him vividly in my head. He was a short kid with glasses, and I think he was in like the second semester. He moved. I don't know if he was Dan Hand's roommate or Neil's roommate. No, Dan with Neil. I remember it's just one kid. He was just a little off. He was a little off, and there's a couple.
Okay, can I
off 2-4 too? I can't. That were just yeah. Go ahead.
Can I ask? So I don't remember the kid's name, but I think this is who. I think maybe it's probably the same person. There's a kid that like, oh man, I feel bad now, like thinking back and like how much we like ripped on him, but he was really really big into the Naked Brothers band.
Oh, yeah.
Was that who it was?
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
And he would sit there and he'd be like, guys, like they're actually like really technical. Really if you listen to them, like they're and like we.
I remember looking at him like, I don't want to say the word I was thinking, but it's like what? And again, I've always been one to kind of like all right, you like what you like, but at that time.
Yeah,
it was almost like you, and it's funny, and I'll get into this after I say it. It was almost like he was like in love with the Jonas Brothers. Like that was the kind of vibe that he kind of pulled off. And it's funny now because my wife is a big Jonas Brothers fan, but they're different now. Like we went to one of their concerts. This freaking concert was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, and it was at the Hershey Center. But I remember. Like, all right, these guys are actually pretty good musicians, but yeah, I can't. Yeah, what his name was?
I don't remember. I don't remember his name. All I remember is the one Naked Brothers band song he played all the time was called "I Indeed," and we would always like as a joke, like sometimes we would like play it and like play it really loud and like.
I remember that.
I guarantee you Rizzo remembers all this too, because like we've brought it up multiple times over the past few months. The I Indeed kid. I don't remember his name either. That's funny though.
Well, it's funny because we had we had quite a few of those guys that were on 24, but and he also went up. He had like a friend in 24 up that I remember he would go up there and spend most of his time up there.
Yep.
I remember that. That's what. Yeah, he was just a little off, and I don't
uh,
want to, and I don't want to like bash on homeschoolers because I know which I will talk about where I found out that most of you guys were homeschool kids. Like I didn't know that. A lot of the 2-4 guys are home. Like I didn't know is if correct me if I'm wrong, but the twins they're homeschool kids, right? I
I
think I
don't.
remember listening to
I know. So I was homeschooled from second grade until eighth grade. I don't
yeah.
remember if the twins were homeschooled or not.
I remember quite a few. I forget who you were talking. I forget who was on, but quite a few of you guys were homeschool kids, and I always had this stigma about homeschool kids, like they were super sheltered. So it's funny, like that kid reminds me of a full blown homeschool kid that I grew. Those are the homeschool kids that I grew up around. But you guys were definitely public school kids in my head. You guys are definitely public school kids. But
So
yeah, that was
who was the coolest guy in 24 Down?
coolest man. It would for me it'd be like cool 1A 1B one like there wasn't really this because I found coolness in everybody and I kind of get into that after I answer this question but like cool. All right, I'll say this: the smoothest guy. Let's say I won't say cool. This makes it a little bit easier. The smoothest guy was Kajawa. Not actually, Brandon was probably Brandon was probably the smoothest guy that I met there, and Brad, me and Brad again because we were the younger guy. We had this kind of kind of different bond. Um, but it wasn't like so much different than everyone else's bond. But I think just because we're around the same age and you know, yeah, we're just around the same age and we clicked really well. But that's not to say that I didn't click with even Neil. Like even I don't want to say even Neil, but Neil was definitely he was like a senior when I got there, and he didn't spend much time with us. But when he did spend time with us, it was like, oh, here's Neil. But yeah, I got a story about Neil. It's not really a story, but I remember first time I really met Neil. No, the first time I met Neil, he wasn't clean shaven, but he was like super cleaned up. Like I don't know if it was like one of the first kind of like lunches or dinners or whatever we were doing together. And then I remember the rest of the time, there was only a handful, but the rest of the time I spent with Neil was in his hoagie soaked subway soaked dark dingy cave, and that was oddly enough super normal. Like it was super normal to know that there's Neil. He'll have his door open once in a while and he'll interact with everybody. And then when he became Neil Monster, at least to me, he was always Neil Monster, you guys, but it's so weird. But I spent just watching him play Warcraft for days. Like
Yeah.
not hours, days. Days.
Yeah.
I never there's a lot of things that were definitely new to me coming to 2-4.
All right. So Buddha's last question is what's your favorite Buddha moment? There's a lot to pick from.
I have one specifically that comes straight to mind.
All right.
when we're going through that phase of stealing each other's clothes out of the shower. And I remember from wherever my room was right by the door and the showers was at the top. And I could just remember coming out or doing whatever and seeing him peek his head and literally butt naked running through, holding his whole togetherness down there. I just remember him and then screaming, his scream, and him being butt naked. I mean, this is gonna sound, I don't want this to sound super gay, but seeing his butt, like, I'm about to get super. I don't want to get too.
You're fine.
I don't want to get too like descriptive because that means I looked at it entirely too much. Well, I seen Buddha naked,
we all did.
bored,
Let's call it for what it is. We all saw Buddha enough times, like to describe it.
And I can remember his butt. It sounds really, sounds really gay. But I can just, his butt is in my head. I'm sorry to say that as a man.
That's awesome.
But,
that's a good. Yeah,
that was definitely will always stick in my head.
All right. So next set of questions here comes from Matthias, and the first thing is a request. He wants you to say sandwiches, but in your way.
Oh, sandwiches. Make a turkey and cheese sandwich.
Yeah. All right. So this next question, this one, this is a very rough question for myself, and I thought about not even asking this question because it's a very low point in my life. But being that this podcast is all about honesty and transparency, I'm sure a lot of people want to hear what you have to say about it. So his question is, recall the moment that you heard Hat say the N-word.
It's funny. I personally, I vaguely remember it. And it was, remembering it, I kind of gotta remember what we were actually doing.
All right, so I'll give you the story here. Okay. Long story short, and I guess this is for people too that are wondering, like, in context what we're talking about. Long story short, myself and some other people went out to Philadelphia to hang out. And me and two of the people there was five of us, and three of the five of us were drinking.
Okay, I think I remember. Oh, was this? Hold on, let me stop you. Was this when you came back? And I remember Rizzo talking about, like, when you threw up, and it was like a waterfall.
Yeah. So
okay, yeah, I remember coming to you guys' room, and I don't remember you saying it.
So what happened was, like, so we get back to campus, and, like, I had way too much to drink, and so I'm in my bunk. And I don't remember exactly what, but I remember I was mad at Andrew at the time. Mm-hmm. And just, it wasn't meant as anything. It's not a word that's in my vocabulary at all, but I don't know why. And it just came out. And I said, Andrew Kendler is, and I said it. And then without even thinking or knowing or anything like that. And then the next thing I remember is Tom was like, hey, like, you just said that in front of Simmons. And I was like, no, I didn't. He's like, yeah, like, you did. And, like, I didn't believe it, but the fact that Tom told me I did, I was like, yeah, Tom's not going to lie to me. And so I remember I was like, I felt so bad. And I was like, you have to go get John. You have to go get him because I need. You know
what? Now that you're talking about it, I do remember it now. Yeah. And I was like, to be honest, I'm not gonna say I was shocked because, especially at that time, I was growing up in inner city stuff, which is cool. But if I did take offense to it, it lasted maybe. I think I was super. I remember now. I remember you coming in, even though you were still a little tipsy. I remember you coming in. I was a top eye, and you apologized. I was like, it's cool, brother. At that point, I do remember, and it was something that you never gave up that kind of vibe, and you never really. And the fact that you were one of the first people that actually come and talk to me, and so it was no biggie, and. But it's funny. I'm starting to remember, and I don't know what I did after that. I don't know if I just walked out but I remember you. I can't remember how I felt then, but I mean, it would be the kind of the same thing where, it's a word that does hurt, but at that time,
Well, I'll say this, like,
it was yeah. I don't want to downplay. I guess for like someone definitely like now, like I'm a grown man now, and it's like I don't want to downplay it to like have there's some people that are offended by it, like I'll feel some type of way, but I won't be like super like again, you weren't calling me and you weren't like yelling at like so it was nothing really. It's what I can remember. I wasn't too beaten up about it. I wasn't too broken up about it.
Yeah, and I like so just we won't stay on this too long, but like from my recollection, and again, I wasn't in the best state of mind, but
Mhm.
from my recollection, you know, I, everything happened, and Tom told me what was said, and I remember like I left my room. So when we were out drinking and we were coming back,
Mhm.
they had to like sneak me back into
Yeah,
my
I
room
remember. I
because
remember.
of how bad I was.
Yeah,
And I remember like I have to stay in here. I have to like hide in here because of how bad it was.
I remember it now.
And
Yeah.
I remember like I was so concerned because like I had so much respect for you and I loved you so much. I was so concerned with like trying to make things right that I was like, I don't care that I'm trying to hide. And I remember leaving my room to
I
come to your room.
remember.
And my mindset was, I don't care at this point if I get caught and somebody realizes I'm drunk. Like
Yeah.
it's more important to me that I need to go like apologize. But what stood out to me the most was like how and again, you're not like you weren't downplaying it like like you're saying it's not like you're downplaying it, but like how um you gave me so much grace and you like were very like, hey, like it's okay, like I get
Mhm.
it, because it, like I said, it's not something that is in my like vocabulary, and
Mhm.
for I don't know where it came from, why it happened. It doesn't excuse it. It was still wrong, like don't get me wrong, and I like to this day I still apologize, but seeing your genuine true reaction of like, hey man, like it's okay,
Yeah.
like that meant a lot to me too, so
No, I. It's funny. Like when it's funny that when we talk about these things, it's like, and at first not even like remember, and I kind of peeked at what Matthias sent on there. I was like, it's like, do I remember? And then as we started getting into it, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember it.
yeah.
And it's funny how you can just like place it as we like, kind of like talk about it. And I do remember. I remember you. I do remember you coming. I'm like, oh, what's going on? I was like, so what's up with hat? I remember, and I remember you hiding under your covers, and then yeah, at that point, and then you said it, but I remember you and Andrew had like kind of like the classic fights too as well. You guys definitely fought like brothers, that's for sure.
For sure, yeah.
And so I just remember it being one of those, and I do remember you, and I was like, yeah, I felt some kind of. I mean, at this point, I couldn't place how I really felt, but I just knew that it was all good at the end of the day.
All right, we'll try and get here on a little bit of a lighter subject here as we
Yeah,
continue
definitely,
on. So Matthias's next question, he said, did you grow up around crazy white boys, or did 24 Down introduce you to crazy white boyness?
so yeah, let me. So that's where I was going to kind of get into, where let's just say not really. I had some friends in high school. They were definitely like the party guys and everything, but they weren't crazy. Like they were still we're all city guys, but yeah, I would say you guys kind of introduced me to it because again, I grew up in I want to say inner city. That's not. Guns weren't flying around my head going to school and everything, being bullets and whatnot. But I do remember in my growing in my high school, I always had like a mix of like multicultural and like background friends. So, and I want to tell you, and definitely, and Andrew, when I first got there, actually it was you, Yugi, and Francis, and just you guys. When I found out that you guys listen to Emory, when it wasn't cool for me to listen to Emory, and I found that you all listen to Emory, that was probably one of the bigger. I would say besides Icy Hot, actually even not Icy Hot, that when I found out that you guys listened to them when I was kind of getting introduced to that, and then that kind of just took off. And so that was definitely a big thing, knowing that you guys like the same, and then it was you guys made it easy for me to like you. I didn't have to try to like you guys, because you guys are just genuine, and you guys already were 2-4 before I got there, and you guys are just super open. So yeah, y'all were crazy. Um, um, and no, I didn't really hang out with a lot of. I always had a lot of white friends. I hate when people say I hate that phrase. Well, I got a lot of white friends, or I got a lot of black friends, so I can whatever. But you guys were definitely um, the most consistent. And I spend way more time than with you guys. And it's funny, even with so a lot of those guys were on my football team, and I spent 4 years straight with them, but I'm not as close as with them as I'm with you guys for sure. And again, I was with them when I was 14, so a lot of those guys. But it's something when you come out of high school, and even with the 4 years that you, and again, day in day out, literally with those guys. And but the it kind of just speaks to how our relationship were, where with you guys, and I just when I say you guys, I mean it's just the white when answering the question. You guys are definitely the closest for sure, for sure. So, but the answer, Matt, T is to answer the question. Nah, I never was really around a lot of crazy white boys before, before I got to Valley Forge.
All right. The next set of questions here comes from Francis, and his first one is: tell me a little bit about how hugs came about.
Okay, so I forget the girl's name, man.
Was it um
I know she hung out with.
Kim? Was it Kim?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was Kim, and she was cool, but like at that time, I was I didn't know what she liked about it. Like I didn't have girl like in high school. I had to really like it wasn't it wasn't like a buffet for me. So I wasn't used to like having girls like like me. And when she when she sticky taped my room, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. It's a little different. I don't. But yeah, she would always want a hug from me. The big I remember just the big hugs, like
Yeah.
the smash chest together hugs, like not one of those side hugs, or not one of those like real friend hugs. Like I wonder what she's doing now. It's funny, but yeah, I think I think everything was cool until she sticky noted, and then when you guys called winner, that oh man, that
Yeah, we didn't let you live it down.
yo for him and him, Francis, and it was definitely Murph. Murph was riding that train till the wheels fall off. That's for
Well,
sure.
it was it was a little bit of a like it got brought up a few times in um the rap songs that
Oh my gosh, yo, I listen to those rap songs.
they're so they're
I,
so
rem-
bad.
I remember you guys recording them and hearing them in person, and then and then 15 how many years later hearing them, like I heard, like I was listening to them whenever you guys posted on the chat. I was like oh man. I was like Wolfie, and like I was like oh my gosh.
They're pretty bad.
But like it's funny though. I'm still pretty like inappropriate in many ways, and so yeah, that was like it was bad, but I still laugh like
Oh,
no
you can't help but laugh at some of it.
it's so
I think
outrageous.
yes, and I think knowing the people, like if you're
Yeah.
a bystander that doesn't know anybody, you're just gonna be like, well, this
What
is just
what is
terrible.
This is
But like
awful.
knowing the people in it and knowing the personalities, and then hearing that, you're like, this is insane.
Like the intro and the outro was like,
Oh man.
oh man. But
Did
those
you
songs, those it's funny. I could literally be here all night, kind of remember. And I'm actually talking to you right now as if we're not doing this podcast. Like it's funny. Like I I'm forgetting that people are going to hear this, and I just started. I could go for like another 2-3 hours again, just thinking about some of the stuff we did. And again, it was 1 year. It was literally 1 year in my life, and memories that would last a lifetime.
well the two things I want to say. One is what you just brought up, like how you, as we're going through this, you're like at times forgetting that we're even recording a podcast. And
Yeah.
I want to bring that up because there are people that have not been on this podcast yet that I think have a little bit of a fear or being nervous or whatever like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, like, and John can sit here and agree, like, when once you just sit down, like, you realize you're just sitting down with friends and you're just talking, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
there's so many times, like, here I'm like, the quote unquote host of the podcast, and I do the same thing. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, this is recording right now. It's just like all those conversations we used to always have sitting out in the hallways or sitting in each other's rooms, like,
Yeah. Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite.
and this is that. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't like any, so for those of you listening that are still like a little, just know it's very comfortable, and it's just friends hanging out. Um, the other
For
thing,
sure.
the other thing I was going to bring up, talking about rap really quick, and not to like shamelessly promote anything, but did you see in the chats that Jigsaw's coming out with an album?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I
all
did see that.
right.
I was like, oh my gosh, what is this about? Like, and it's so funny that was like that movie series was your movie series.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't. No one that even walked into your dorm room would say, I don't know if this guy really likes Salt. Like we knew that was the whole. I remember. Did you dress up like it one time? And
I mean, I had the
got a,
mask. I
you
always
had a
had.
mask, but I feel like you got a scooter, like you got like a little tricycle too as well. That I feel like, yeah, the mask is still.
still readily available. I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, I had little mini Jigsaw. And
Yeah,
then,
do you remember that? Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
and he would pop up randomly.
All right. So Francis's last question is, he wants to know what your favorite meal to cook is.
Favorite meal to cook? Um, Shoot, I do stir fry really good. Um, I'm working. I do just different kinds of like chicken breasts and stuff like that. I do that pretty good. I do lamb fairly good. But like chicken and shrimp, I get to that and beef. So all those the three heavy hitters, I can experiment a lot more with those three. But yeah, so I guess it would be chicken. Anything I can mix it, throw it. I've done a lot right now, and I've had to learn. It's funny that he brings it like that questions up because let me tell you something. From age, I guess whenever I figure out what a stove was, I never cooked. Let me tell you something. I never cooked for 27 years until I got married, where I either had to cook or we would die. But I started practicing at work because I was around like the sous chefs too as well. So I would do not just work with like the old folks, but I do food prep as well, and that's where I kind of started to learn my bones and checking temperatures and checking the color and checking the smells of like stuff and checking how firm. So I cut my teeth working um, at that place as well. It was like a country club, so I was running the dining room, so I interacted a lot with the chefs and so I got to really like cut my teeth on cooking. So now I cook a lot more just because I like to try out new things and new seasonings and stuff like that, and I'm a quote unquote foodie. I actually was when I was in Philly. When a friend he's a chef, and um, we were trying out this Filipino uh, food truck. So that's what we do. We do food trucks. Where in Philly there's a thing called a night market where it's just food trucks galore, and you kind of just try different cuisines and stuff like that. And so that's what our thing is. Where we go and try like a ton of new different kind of foods and taste, and then we kind of pick the part. He's a lot better at it. He travels for his gig. I just stuff my face.
Nice. All right. So next question here is from Tim.
Mm.
He says, from what you remember, who was the true last man standing in the icy hot nutsack challenge?
Andrew, straight up. Andrew, this guy, as we're all like freaking and shaking and shivering and whatnot because their balls are on fire. It's just like he popped a piece of gum, was like chewing. It's like, it's all right. Only real man can eat. I remember the videos. It's all right. It burns, but like chewing a piece of gum, like real men can handle the nuts being on fire. And I'm like screaming, trying to like, and then like even to like hose them down. Like I remember being in the stall trying to hose them down. Like this is not working. I've never have I ever felt that kind of burn before.
So
it must be the skin on the balls where it's like I just doesn't go away.
Right.
But yeah, Andrew, he was chewing a piece of gum during it. I was like, what is this guy doing?
So what sticks out to me, a few things from that video that stick out is
let me cut you off. Do you have that video?
Okay, so I will say this. Tim has the video.
Okay.
And it's coming out soon. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that it's coming out soon. So we're trying to figure out the details. We're talking about doing a commentary video on
that
it.
Would be funny.
And then releasing that and the original at the same time.
That would be hilarious.
So it is coming soon. But so some things that stick out with me to that video in relation to you is like, so you had, and I don't know like where it came from, but you had one of those like helmets, like the beer straw helmet. Yeah. So that was funny. Then I remember like for like me personally, like going through that, like when it started to get to a certain point, I remember like I was like, I feel like I have to pee. And I looked at you and you kind of like, I don't know, we like talked about it or whatever. And you like felt like the same way. And so the two of us, I think we were the only two that we felt that way of like, I have to pee, but I can't. And there's part of the video where like you're in one stall, I'm in the next, and we're just like, I can't pee.
I remember the initial. Okay, I remember putting it on, right? I was like, all right, here we go. Slap it on, right? It's like have you ever seen that the Family Guy episode where they take the Epicat? Like well they take it, makes you throw up, and they're like they chug it, they pop a bottle, like okay, all right, I'm cool. Like literally 30 like they're cool for like 30 seconds, and then it hits immediately, and they all start throwing up. That's literally how that was. And I think I was talking to Andrew. I think was I talking to Andrew? But it was like it's like someone's holding a candle right under my nutsack. Like that's exactly how. And then I remember I think I was across with you in the stall, and I think it was me and Sam Lee. Then also in the showers, trying to like scrub, and then not doing anything because it's already in my veins. Like so, yeah, that. Man, oh man! The burn is starting to make its way back.
So the other thing like that stood out to me in this video is like, so Mikey was the one that recorded it, right?
Okay.
And near the end, and you're right about your answer of like Andrew being like the one that was like, yeah, whatever. But as Mikey's going around, like at the end, Mikey's going around and he's asking everybody like, would you ever do this again? Would you ever do this again? You know, would you ever do this again? And everyone's like, nope. And I remember like it gets to me and I'm just like, I don't know. I've always had that like crazy mentality of like, I don't
Mhm.
care. And so I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'd do it again, you know? And then it gets to Andrew, and Andrew's just like, yeah, I mean, it hurt, but yeah, I'd do
Yeah.
it
I was like,
again. It was like, like
what is this guy learn? And so let me ask before. Now, how many times did you guys do that before? Or was that the inaugural?
to my recollection. So the year before that was when they pranked Samsung with the icy hot,
Yeah. Okay. I
right?
saw that. I remember that video.
And so that one you're talking about, that was the first inaugural one of
Oh,
us
well,
doing
then
it
I
as a
feel
group.
definitely.
I think
Yeah.
I could be wrong,
Okay.
but I think um we maybe, I don't know, that might have been this. No, I think that I don't know, because I know we did it at least 2 or 3 times, and it became like the
The tradition.
initiation.
Yeah.
And maybe we did it like each semester. I think we did it each semester if new students came,
After that. Okay. Yeah.
because like
I do remember.
sometimes a new student came in the spring, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't, but I'm pretty sure that was it had to have been, that was the first time we did it as like a group.
As a group. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're actually, there's a little bit of talk, and I don't know how many people are serious. There's a little bit of talk about maybe doing a uh icy hot 2020 Zoom call.
I'm running back. Oh man, my wife would kill me. She's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, as we're all like yelling at the top of our lungs in our houses.
Oh
um
man, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The peer pressure would get to me.
right.
Like the biggest one, but like the peer pressure, like I can maybe do this one more go around. I don't know. I would I to man, that sucker lasted a while too.
Dude, there's no doubt in my mind I would absolutely do it again. Like if other 24 down people were involved, I would 100% do it again. Like there's no doubt.
I I hate that I'm thinking about. I probably would do. I hate myself for thinking about it
Right.
because I could hear my wife. She's the voice of reason. I could hear my wife saying, "You're not in college anymore, John, but everybody else is doing it though, baby. Just
to
it's,
me to me the way like I view it is, did that hurt a lot? Absolutely. But like look at the memories that it's
oh
like
yeah,
created that have lasted this
oh
long, like
yeah."
totally worth it. So it's like, would I do it again? Yeah, absolutely, because it probably creates some new memories that we'd all be just dying laughing about.
And us all grown men with holding on to. I remember holding. Who was I holding on to? I was holding on to somebody.
I don't
I
remember.
think it might have been Boot. I was pulling on somebody because I couldn't. That
That's
was
hilarious.
that was crazy. That's
Um,
crazy.
all right, so we got 3 sets of questions left here.
Cool.
Next one's from Tim. Um, oh no, that wasn't Tim. I'm sorry. We only have 2 sets of questions. I was
Okay.
looking at my notes wrong.
Well,
So
let me and then shouts out to Tim for selling me his Dance Dance Revolution mat. Let me tell you something. He's the one that I'm telling you. I thought Dance Dance Revolution was for a certain set of people, but when that guy said, "Here, you can come and play anytime you want," and I would literally go in his room and play Dance Dance Revolution, like, and actually got good at it. And Tim was definitely the king of dance. I don't, yeah, yeah.
for
There
sure.
was so like that. So when it comes to like gaming, because we didn't really, it was funny. As like we're older now, gaming is more prevalent than when gaming was back then in college, where we all really didn't. Neil was the only one that was the consistent gamer. We always played, we always did stuff together, like, but it wasn't like video game. Like when Halo came out, that was one thing. And then after you guys beat it and stayed up super late, you guys really didn't play it. I wasn't. It wasn't you. I think it was Gene, Francis, and maybe Bowen. I
Yeah,
remember them. I
for
remember
sure.
them being up super late for Halo. But after they beat it in that one night run, then that was kind of it. And then Guitar Hero was our game of choice. And it's funny. I was thinking one of the songs I was choosing was going to be Dragon Force. I was like, but I remember those nights were, again, even if we didn't have Guitar Hero, just being around. I'm telling you, and I think that's probably why I know my grades weren't extremely great because I was just really kind of I think about it now and the relationships, because I mean, ministry's always been there and schooling has always been there. But that 1 year, you know, in my older mind, if I was me, I would say, John, you should have been way more on top of your schooling, and I should have. But to have the memories and the times I spent with you guys, it definitely is um, something for a lifelong experience.
Yeah,
So
you can't put a price tag on the friendships and the relationships that were built
for
through that
sure,
family. You just can't, like, So I agree with that. Um, all right, so next set of questions here is from Murph, nasty Murph.
my man
His
Murph,
first
Kingin,
his first one is,
Crown,
what's that?
said Crown. Him and Alex put me on that Crown and stuff. I
Oh,
mean, shoot.
I'll we'll get into Alex a little bit later because I'll say something else about him in a minute. But Murph's first question is Lupe still hot?
Lupe is so hot right now. It's, again, and that was our bond with me and Murph is something that I wish I could have gone up to Buffalo and spend more time with. And no, and I see his brother when they come down to Carlisle, him and Brittany. And I see Brandon more than I see. But me and Murph had a really good bond that I wish I would have spent more. He kind of didn't do social media like that, so I couldn't really even stay up on him. But yeah, Lupe is so hot right now. I remember driving to, I forget where it was when it was, but I remember, if you remember the Blevins, me and Becca were really cool. When Becca moved to Delaware, it was like bringing a part of like the Forge home with me, and so we spent a lot of time. And Steph was really good, but Becca, I actually lived with her and a couple of the roommates for like 3 months. And my roof in my house collapsed, so I had to move out till I got my roof fixed. But I spent and she came to my wedding, but but I remember going to Steph's birthday party, well, birthday weekend or whatever, and I remember being in the car with both Kajawas, and I think, who else was it? Was it Mikey? Oh, it was Joe. It was Jolie, I remember, and who else? Oh, who else was it? I can't remember, but I remember driving and us blasting Mariah Carey on the turnpike on their way to there, and that was hilarious. I mean, it seems like me just telling that story, but like being there, and I can remember vividly just blasting Mariah Carey on the turnpike, stuck in traffic, was a great memory. But like again, I got a million of those, and of just for everybody, and hopefully, I mean, I guess at the end, I want to kind of just, when it's like time to like wrap up, I'll kind of just go and kind of share a memory of at least everybody, because there's one for everybody. And I guess with me only being there for like a full year, it felt like everything was kind of like jam packed into that 1 year. But I spent you know countless memories of everybody.
Yeah, no, good. I'm looking forward to that for sure. Then, we'll get to the last set of questions here real quick, and then we'll get into all that. So these are from Andrew Kindler.
Okay.
His first question is, "What was your go-to at Wawa?"
Italian hoagie.
All right,
Italian
fair
hoagie
enough.
all the way through.
Um, and then, and I think Colleen answered this or asked this as well. What were your, I don't know if I can't remember now if she asked your favorite. Andrew's asking what your funniest memory of 24 Down is.
Funniest memory. We did a lot of laughing too. Um, Funniest memory. Dang. I might have shared it previously.
Right.
Um,
It's hard to narrow stuff down like that, you know?
it is. It was, man, because there was a lot of times we laughed. Um, I do remember when where we had, like, I guess it was like the Halloween thing.
Okay.
and we were like all the other dorms did like this Halloween thing, and we didn't do anything, but I remember us constantly putting holes in the wall and constantly breaking the glass doors, so it was always cracked or shattered, and there's always a hole in the wall. And who was the maintenance guy that would come
Henry.
in? Henry, yeah, Henry is I remember. I'm not gonna say he was a chatterbox, but he did like to talk, and he would corner you, and like the only way, like, yo, Henry, I got a chapel, or I gotta go to class. I said, oh, okay. I remember his voice. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
when he would go off and do his thing. But we were talking about what our theme was, and I remember talking. I think it was Rizzo and someone else. We were like all the other dorms had like caution tape or stuff like that, and ours is like homeless ministry, like we would because of all the like the cracked
Oh,
walls
that's
and all the like the mushrooms and the so we would be like our floor's theme would be like homeless ministry. Like I mean, it's not funny now, but it was homeless. But with all the crack walls and like we get like a someone doing crack over to the side and shivering and shaking, and it was, that concept that was super funny to me. I remember that.
what what's like I think what I realize now, like I didn't realize back then, but what I realize now is as bad of shape as the 24 building was.
It wasn't really. I didn't. It was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but to me, that's kind of the catalyst of what made us all as close as we
Yeah.
were. If we were in
Like Bongiorno.
Buongiorno and we
Yeah.
had all the amenities and so, things like that, like maybe we wouldn't have been as close because it forced us to hang out together, but it also forced us to appreciate
Oh yeah.
the little things and whatnot. So like
The struggle is real. Like the struggle is is what made us. Yeah.
yeah, so like looking back on it, like I'm thankful that we had mushrooms growing in our
It
bathroom
was so bad, bro.
and that ceilings collapsed on people and that there's like
Wasn't you know what? And I wasn't there for that, but I remember them telling the story when I came back for a visit. They're like the roof caved on you. I was like, what?
yeah, that's
Oh,
crazy.
you know what? You know what else? You know what else is like? I'm thinking about it now. It's like really gross. Like the toilet stalls, like how closed in they were when you try to take a poop. Like it was no joke. Like you don't sit in there and like take your time. Like it
Nope.
was, I hated those stalls. Literally claustrophobic. Like my knees would hit the door when I sat down. Like, oh man, that was the worst. That was, and then I don't know if they put like laxatives in the food or anything, but God, it was. I remember all Buddha was like, I have a regular bowel movement from this food or something, and I remember it being different when I came home and eating like home food and then eating the cat food, and it just
I think maybe, at least for me, part of it was not necessarily like I don't think they necessarily put laxatives. It was just all the food was so bad that like you would constantly go and just get pizza. So
yeah,
like
or
literally
cereal, yeah.
we were literally just eating pizza nonstop. And I think that was the issue. Like because the rest of the choices was like so bad. We're like, well, I guess I'll get pizza again.
And I'm glad you brought that up because it makes me think about the picture. I don't know if Andrew or Rizzo posted it about us all at the table, like the Last Supper table. I remember we would legitimately pull chairs and tables together so we would all sit there. And that right there is something that I will always remember and I will always appreciate that we did not want not one member, girls or guys or people that didn't even live on 2-4, but like lived in like I forget all the other dorms, but like the Ricks came from like other dorms um and we all sat together and we all shared those moments. Yeah, and that's what I'll always take, is those kind of moments where we all waited for each other to come and eat. We would all quote like wait for someone to finish and like we did everything together, and that's something that will always resonate with me.
I brought up recently in that chat, I brought up the idea that when we do this reunion, hopefully next year, um, the likelihood of us being able to stay and like stay the night and or
Oh yeah.
like stay on campus is probably out of the picture.
Mm.
But what might be possible, and I'll contact the school, is while we're doing our reunion to have one of our meals where we go into the cafeteria and we just
Uh,
take over a table again. You know, it doesn't
I,
have to be
I bet if we gave them a little bit of money, they probably would let us do it.
right,
They
right,
let all the other guests that come in and do chapel and stuff like that.
right.
Would probably, yeah.
I just think it would be like even if it's like an off hour or like even if
Yeah.
school like even if the reunions when school's not happening or whatever, but just to be able to go into that building and sit all together at the tables that we
I might
all
cry.
sat to. You're right, right. So like that's like my bucket list for the reunion. Like there's a lot of things I want to do for the reunion, but that's number one on the list is like I want to
Yeah,
sit in the cafeteria one more time with everybody and just fill up a table and now probably fill up like two rows of tables because we've all got wives and
kids.
kids and everything like that. And I just think it'd
Yeesh,
be we'll fill up one half of the cafeteria because remember they have like the
that
two
would
different
be.
halves or whatever.
And then, if we got everybody to come, like not one person is missing, like
Right.
that's what I yeah.
Right. Well, that pretty much concludes the questions, John. So, I'm gonna let you take over and share whatever you want to share. When you're done with that, I'm gonna give some podcast plugs,
Mhm.
and then after that, I'll let you kind of give a send off and say whatever you want to the 24 Down family. So, for right now, I will let you just share any stories or anything that you want to share, and we'll go with that for now.
Awesome. All right, so I guess I'm gonna try to get everybody. And if I do forget, that just means there's a lot of memories. But so I guess I'll start with like Andrew. So I'll start with Andrew. Andrew, the memory that I can remember is him kind of always getting everyone together. And I remember again the Sonic was one of the big things. So it was just how he brought everyone together, and how he was, again, he might have been the one of the older guys, but he stuck out to me as that kind of that big brother guy. So Andrew, that's definitely there's a ton of memories that I'm probably not even gonna do justice because but
Well,
everyone has
I'll
a
I'll
good.
say I'll say this too. Like I tell everybody, I labeled these episodes, so this is going to be labeled, you know, Simmons episode 21, Simmons part 1. There's always possibility. So like do your
Okay.
thing and say your thing. If you forget anybody, that just means you're going to bring them up on part 2 whenever that is. So,
That would be cool. But okay, so this is the one that I've that I was thinking about the entire time. Uh, Mikey, my man Mikey. Mikey, I love him to death. But when he pooped on that bathroom floor, I remember I remember that was the first. I've never ever in my life seen a seen a person not only poop but, but poop on a bathroom floor. And I remember I freaked out. I didn't freak out like, oh my goodness. Like, I just remember laughing, but I'm like, this dude is a lunatic. Like I've never, and I remember everyone came in one by one and looked, and I remember Andrew being super mad. He's like, you better get in there and clean it up. I remember he was like, and we were just laughing. I remember him laughing, him clean up his poop and bleaching the floor. And I, that memory will stick with me forever. And watching Mikey for the first time poop on the floor. Never ever have I ever seen that before. And it's funny that, and it sucks though. The only time I really got to get to know Junior was when he came to visit, because he was already going off.
yeah.
He was already going off to wherever he was at, and he just came back to visit. But Junior, it's almost like another Mikey, but like a little bit more of a mature Mikey.
Yes, for sure.
Junior was like he was the mature Mikey.
Now, Junior had his moments too, but
Yeah,
like for sure.
yeah. And the thing is, I didn't really even get to I didn't get to really see kind of all of Junior's moments. But that was Yeah, just remember Junior being the little bit more mature Mikey. Matthias, man, me and Matthias, and I saw Matthias more after Valley Forge than anybody for a while because we were doing youth ministry and we would do conventions. Um, I would see Matthias a lot more than all the other guys. Um, but yeah, I remember spending time with Matthias, and he's the one who really put me on to like subtitle anime when we were watching Bleach. I was always in the anime, but I never knew like you could like watch subtitles until like I got so. But there's a ton more stuff with Matthias that like even when we used to play Tekken, um, he would trash me and I would get so hot. And I thought I was pretty decent at Tekken until I started playing him. But there's one moment that's so funny with me and Matthias. We were sparring one time, and I want to call it. I don't even want to call it sparring. We were just kind of like throwing the gloves around one time, and again, and I really didn't know how good of a fighter Matthias was because at the time this happened, it was still kind of early in our relationship. But I remember sparring with him, and I remember we had the gloves on or whatever, and he hit me with a shot in my eye, and I was like, I tried to play it off so I was like, yo, bro, I'm gonna have to stop. He's like, you sure want to keep going? Like I didn't make it like a big scene, but he hit me with a shot, and it took me back. I was like, oh shoot, he really caught me with a shot in my eye that made me want to stop sparring with him. So I never told him that story, but if he remembers, we weren't even throwing like hard, but with the light shot that he hit me with, and my eye, I tried to keep my eye from like watering up. But I was like, oh yo, bro, we gotta chill. I was like, 'cause I was super trying to like keep it together, but I remember that woke me up, and I was like, oh, okay. But so that was a funny memory. I would say Francis and Yugi, we again we had a I had a bond with Francis and Yugi too. Not to say I didn't have a great bond with, but I spent more time with Francis and Yugi um, off of Valley, I mean off campus as well, and Audra. So I spent a lot of time with them, and then able to DJ for Francis' wedding was awesome, um, and kind of just spending time with them. Yeah, and then me DJing for them when they were at the Converse, which I had a great. There's a lot of memories. Yeah, so the biggest memory was us on that break and climbing down that. If they remember, they probably do. It was them, Monkey, and Aldra, and I think there was somebody else. But I remember like, what the heck am I doing climbing in this like bridge sewer? Like it was, bro. It was one of those like it was like a scary movie. To be completely honest, I can't really even picture it any other way. It's just a long drop, and I remember we got down to the bottom, and I remember like maybe taking 2 or 3 steps away from the ladder, and like, all right, let's go and head on back up to this mother because I'm getting a little creeped out. Um, but yeah, I have a ton of memories with Yugi and Francis, and I spent really a good amount of time with them off campus in Valley Forge. Um, so I do, and I remember again me and Tim. So Tim playing dance, and he turned me on to like K-pop and J-pop. Like like I was like this, but Tim he was really big into EDM, and I forget what he gave me. What is it called? Dang it! It's on my old iPod. But he turned me on to this real like underground techno house kind of music that it wasn't something I wasn't even into. I was more like the Daft Punk and stuff like that and house music, but he turned me into this real kind of like underground techno, and it was really so. Shouts out to Tim for that. Kind of put me on to some old school techno music. Um, so with that, and I knew that Josh Lee was his roommate for a while. But Josh Lee, this no no. So this is because Josh Lee was more of the not to say teacher, but I remember as a freshman, I remember one time everyone was acting crazy, and this was like the first time I kind of let loose a little bit, and there were like a day ago we were talking about the Carlos thing where like I don't know if it was you or Andrew would get on the wall and bang on Carlos's like wall, like Carlos, and bang, and kind of wake him up. And I didn't get to know Carlos because he was way gone before I was, but I remember I got in my head that I would do it to Andrew, and I remember doing it. And I remember Josh Lee coming out and grabbing me by the back of my neck. It's like, boy, what you doing? And he kind of gave me a little talk. But then afterwards, he pulled me off the side. He was like, yo, that's not you. Yeah, that's not you. And like even with us always having fun, he kind of stopped and like had that kind of pastoral kind of mindset even back then as well. And he was like, that's not you. And this is when I got to know everyone, and it's been almost like I think we came back from the semester, so everyone knew who I was. Now it wasn't just some freshman, and he was like, "That's not who you are. Don't do that. That's let all these other kind of crazy people do that. That's you're something different." That always stuck with me. I remember that for sure. So shouts out to Josh Lee for that. Um, Samsung. I remember going to his birthday party. That was, I mean, again, I had a ton of other, but remember going to his birthday party and how we all went out together. Again, this goes back to us being like a unit, and how all of us showed up for Samsung and buying gifts for like at that point I never really bought a gift for like a friend. Like you just show up to the party or whatever. You don't get them nothing, not even a card. You just my presence is your present kind of thing. But I remember going, and I think we went to wherever Andrew was working, and we all just took up a section, and we just showered this guy with love and gifts. And I never really was at that point I was not old enough to be a part of like a friendship group that kind of did that. And I remember Baldwin buying him, and this is when terabytes were like super expensive. Like you can buy a terabyte for like $50. And I think he spent like 100 some odd bucks for a terabyte for Sam because he knew for Sammy because he knew how much he needed the space, and that kind of just blew me away. I remember that stuck with me. Uh, shoot, sorry. So I did. Sam Lee again. Me and Sam Lee were together. I remember going to Queens with Sam Lee in the church, Antioch, with Pastor Jacob, which I need to reconnect with Pastor Jacob because I really enjoyed his kind of teaching and preaching style. But I remember going to that bathhouse with him, and it wasn't just him, but it was like everybody. It was the first time I ever been to a bathhouse and being butt naked with everybody. Like that was I had never done that before. And I tell people about it. It was a great. I don't want to tell them it's a great experience because they're like, "Oh, you had a great experience seeing all these naked dudes walking." But it was. I never. That was something that I never, in my wildest dreams at that time, thought I would do. Like, go off to college and But that was an experience that I will always remember. But and me and Sam had classes together and everything. And again, he turned me on to Korean food as well. Um, so but yeah, me and Sam were around that same age. We were still freshmen, so I that was one of the memories that I remember of Sam. Uh, shoot. Me and Buddha. I remember. So Buddha, I remember. Just again, this is quick. I'm gonna start. I'm not gonna because I got so many names that have flushed into my head. But Buddha, I remember always talking about going to New York City and getting cheese balls and coffee. They always say cheese balls and coffee, and I was supposed to come up and we were supposed to do New York City together and go to Yonkers and see his church and stuff like that. And also, what I was wanted to bring up, like how everyone had like relationships. I remember Buddha bringing Joy around and I remember Rizzo dating Jen, and then I remember Andrew dating a handful of girls. Um, and I remember Yugi dating stuff like so. Like again, I never was around guys that always like that had girlfriends too as well. So it was always cool. And them being, but the fact that they were being a part of 242 as well was awesome. That we didn't just have a 2-4 guys, we had a 2-4 girls, which that in itself would deserve like a part two. Um, and now that I'm thinking about all the memories, I don't want to take up. I don't want to go too long and kind of pick apart. But I'll say that there were way too many memories to count. There were way too many great times. There wasn't a lot of low times. I can't really remember any really low times, even when they seemed bad. I mean, we kicked off that year when when I first got there. That was you guys coming off your suspension. I remember that was the talk for a good month. Uh, but like Rizzo, man, me and Rizzo connected to as well. I mean, Wu Tang forever, baby. That's but then having Rizzo being the musician that he is as well, kind of allow us to click and kind of just be on a kind of same wavelength. So I could talk about the wavelengths and the 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 way I bonded with everyone. Um, it's very special. It's very special. And the kind of I don't want to kind of go into any more memories because I'll forget and have to take up a whole nother 3-4 episodes of you. But I will say that everyone from the girls, the guys, have I have a special memory of, and that means a lot. I wouldn't change that for the world. I
Well,
do. Oh, go ahead, brother.
no, you're good. Keep going.
I did. Now that I'm talking about it, coming to the girls, I remember the Powder Puff. I remember two specific things when Jess Rittenhouse, she's not Rittenhouse anymore. I remember she ran the entire length of the field in the opposite direction. And I remember us yelling at her, and she could not hear till she crossed the finish, till she crossed it and made the touchdown. Then she realized that she was going the opposite way, and that was one of the funniest things. And I also remember how fast Monkey was. Like Monkey had some wheels. I don't know if she's that fast now. Monkey, you gotta let us know if you're still pretty quick on your feet. But like Audra and Jess and Steph and Beck, um, all the girls, Colleen, again, Colleen, I don't know if she was like maybe 20, 21, but she felt like I always thought she was like super older than everybody because she was kind of like the mom. And then Amber, all those girls that hung out with you guys, it was just I never had that before, and so it was there's countless memories with everyone on the girl side and the guy side. I'm thinking of like it's flooding back to me now. It's like a ton more. But I remember. So was it? Was it Justin? Was it Justin? Oh man, playing football.
Justin Banks.
I think it was Banks. It wasn't Cottle. It was Banks.
Banks was,
Okay,
yeah.
it was Banks. Oh, then we got to talk about the Pete. All right, I'll end on the Pete thing. But we'll talk about that. I remember the memory, one of my biggest memories, because me and Justin, being football guys, and we were like watching the game. But I remember playing the upperclassmen versus the freshmen, and I remember going after Justin with no mouthpiece, right, and tackling him, and I hit his shoulder. I remember bouncing off and falling to the ground, and I remember that he locked my jaw up for two days, and I remember talking to him about it afterwards. He was like, "It's like, do you know?" And I remember in class, I was trying to fix it. I remember it snapping back in. I was like, "Oh shoot, I locked my jaw up." And I remember me and him talking about it. And he was like, "Yeah, my shoulder hurt really bad, like for like 3 days." I'm like, "Yeah, because you nearly broke my jaw, and I wasn't even like wearing my mouthpiece." And that was that was that was a that was a good time. Him and C-Bug, yeah, us playing football, yeah. Nate, like, there's so many memories um, that we packed in for that one year, and you guys went further. But yeah, man, those memories, I might have to do a part two because in just off memories, but there's so many, excuse me, so many times and so many events that we were just together that I will never take back. And I want to build more. I really do.
Awesome, man. Well, we will definitely do a part two and part three, four, five, six, whatever it takes. Like I want this podcast to go as long as it's is serving the purpose.
Yeah.
And so um you as well as everybody else is always welcome on this podcast at any point. I think this has been a really, really good episode. You shared a lot of memories. Like you said, you were only there for a year and you got all these memories and you've only started to scratch the surface on the memories.
Mm.
So I think a lot of people will look forward to hearing the rest of the memories that you have to share as well. So let me do this really quick. I'm going to give some quick podcast plugs, and then when I'm done with that, I will say my little closing words to you, and then I will let you close it out and say goodbye for this episode to the 24 down family and in your way. So um, first of all, if you are on Twitter and you would like to follow us on Twitter, this is where you can find when a podcast episode gets posted. Our Twitter handle is at 24 down podcast. If you want to email us for whatever reason, 24downpodcast@gmail.com. We have Facebook pages. Technically, we have two. We've got the Facebook, the 24 Down podcast page, which is just public. Anybody can like it and subscribe to it, maybe. I don't know. Then there's a separate group page, which is private. And again, it's private because we don't want just random people showing up in there that we don't know. But if you have any affiliation with 24 Down at all, you are welcome. So reach out to the people that you do know on 24 Down. We'll get you in that page. Pretty much the Facebook pages are, again, more information on podcast episodes being ready to listen to. It's where you're going to find information for future Zoom calls. It's where you're going to find information for the reunion that we're going to hopefully do here in a year or two. And then you'll also find posts to ask questions for the guests. So if you keep hearing like all these questions, and you're like, where's my chance to ask the guest the question? Get involved in the Facebook, and you can do that. Lastly, is the Store Frontier page. This is where you can get your 24 down shirts. Now, I've been kind of going a little crazy here and making a bunch of different designs. And I'm going to continue making designs, but now, I mean, we've got the 24 Down podcast logo, the 24 Down logo. There's the new 24 Down Icy Hot logo. There's
I give me one of those.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Studio shirt for Samsung. Like, there's the Dodgeball champs. There's the Patriot Bowl champs. The Powder Puff champs. Like, there's all these different shirts and designs, and I'm going to keep making them. The reason I'm doing this, and I said this earlier in the chat, is I want everybody that was a part of 24 Down to feel like there's at least one shirt where you're like, man, that design I really love. I want to get that shirt, because then every time you wear that shirt, it's a constant reminder of the family. So, so check out the Store Frontier page. There's going to be more shirts being made. I already thought of two ideas off the top of my head during this podcast alone. Like, Simmons, you made me think of two different ideas. So those may be coming soon as well. But yeah, so that's pretty much the plugs. Simmons, man, it's crazy to me that you were only there for a year.
No, right?
I said this a little bit earlier, because even though you were only enrolled for a year, like you said, you came and visited, like you were 24 down from that year on. It didn't matter that you were not a student at Valley Forge. You were a part of the family. To this day, you're still a part of the family. Like I said, I was so excited hearing that you're expecting, like you guys are expecting. That's amazing, you know. And you have this personality that you can't not love John Simmons. And I know everybody feels the same way. Like, it, you talk about like how I early on came and like got you for the Icy Hot and everything like that. To be completely honest, it was probably because I was like, like you have this energy about you where I was just like, I want this guy involved. Like
Mm.
he's already part of us. So I appreciate you coming on so much. We'll have a part 2 and 3 and 4, whatever we need to cover everything. But I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your openness, your honesty, your fun loving nature, your kindness, like everything about you, brother. Like I love you to death. And I think everybody's really going to enjoy this episode. With that, I will let you kind of send us off and say whatever you want.
Brother, I just, thanks for, you and Buddha and Andrew kind of just giving us this kind of, just also having the idea and then kind of going forward with it. So this is awesome that we can hear each other's voices for like the first time. And like some of us probably, like, I haven't heard Banksy's voice since the podcast. Like, so I just love what we're doing and what you guys have, taken and kind of ran with it and held strong with it. So you guys are definitely, bringing a lot of people back together. But for the family, man, I love you guys. I miss you guys. I miss our time together. And 15 years, 50 years. I mean, we'll still be family, and family is family. And you guys are definitely. If you ask my wife, man, she's like, "What are you always talking about these guys?" Like, honey, you got to meet them, man. Got to meet them. But I really do love you guys. I really do miss you guys. It's something that I would never take back. I'll always look forward to just a chat, but I'm so looking forward to seeing your faces. And let's keep this thing rocking and rolling, man. I love you guys. Hit me up. I'm gonna try to do some music. If you guys have any, when Corona finally fades and you do a house party or even at the reunion, I just, or if we just want to go and get a burger together, man. But I love you guys, and let's keep this thing rolling, family.